welcome into our ESPN FC studios. Alexis Nunes here with Alejandro Moreno, Stevie Nicol, and Gab Marcotti. It is time to dissect the Premier League team of the weekend, as chosen by Stevie, Gab, and the great Paul Mariner, who's not here right now, so we'll see if he has to defend himself.
I'll tell you what, I didn't have Lascelles. I had a back three of Smalling, Mustafi, but I had Fernandez from Swansea down to 10 men. Shelby, Matic, yep, I had them. I had Mahrez as well. I didn't have Willian. I don't understand how Willian gets into this. And certainly Rashford up front. Considering he didn't play up front, how about you put a guy in Son who actually did play up front? Why don't you just put him there and move Rashford to the left?
What about Mourinho?
Because that's what I did.
What about Mourinho? You have Mourinho?
No. Why would you put Mourinho? Why, hold on a second. Put 9 players and a goalkeeper behind the ball, and you're going to give a manager the weekend. You've got plenty of options.
He got a top result, though. Anyways, let's go to Gab and see. Gab, did any of your picks make it then, or are you just as upset?
No, a bunch of my picks did make it. I get upset whenever I see that this lines up with a back three, because I think it's disrespectful towards fullbacks. And it's also a bit silly when most teams in the Premier League these days actually play a back four. So I had room for Chilwell. And especially Serge Aurier, who I thought defended really, really well. He set up a goal. He scored a goal too, although that was a gift from Begovic. But whatever, I'm curious here though, Stevie, with Mourinho, because if you didn't put Mourinho and I didn't put Mourinho because I went for Rafa Benitez,
well, actually,
how does he get in? Like, do Paul's votes count double because he has more England caps?
Do you know what? I think I know how that happened, because you voted for Rafa, Mariner voted for Mourinho. I actually voted for Carvajal at Swansea. Now, that's a coaching job, down to 10 men in the first half, and you end up getting a point when you're in relegation trouble. That's what I call a coaching job. That means that the guy that puts this together, Mr. Chris Borg, must have voted for Mourinho as well, and that's why he's in.
Hold on, Mourinho got a top result against the biggest rivals in a second-place battle.
Well, he stuck 10 men in a
Yeah,
goal.
but Alexis,
he got the result, which is what matters, doesn't it?
So did what about Swansea? Down
no,
to 10
it's not
They got
what matters.
result too, but-
That's just silly. Performance matters. It's not about results. It's
Hold on a second.
That's over time, good performances yield good results.
It's not about results.
Honestly, this
You
angers
can play
me.
pretty football from now till Kingdom Come
Yeah.
if you're still in relegation. I
Yeah,
mean,
come on.
I wouldn't put your manager if that would be my manager of the week.
I think we may have had this argument once before. It's absolutely about results. It's absolutely about results. If you can put good
not about-
performances together and you do that consistently, the chances are you will get good results. But at the end of the day,
But
it's the result that matters.
So why don't you vote for
but
Mourinho?
Stevie, I think at this, no, but Stevie, at the same, we're not awarding the Premier League title here. We're giving an award for the best managerial performance of the weekend, and
that's why I didn't go for
I thought
Mourinho as well.
Manchester United at home. Even if you want to throw in the result, I think even Mourinho would admit that it should have been a penalty on Fellaini. I don't think beating Liverpool 2-1 is necessarily, this incredible result at home, when on top of that, there wasn't that much of a performance. This is Manchester United we're talking about. I look at this and I say, okay, fine, job done. I'm sure Jose Mourinho isn't sitting at home and saying, oh, wow, this is one of my 10, 50, or even 100 greatest games as a manager.
No, I agree with you, Gab. It's when you said that it's not about results, that was the thing I picked up on. So.
Let's let Ali weigh in, because he's been quiet.
As an outsider, when it comes to the team of the week, because I really have nothing to do with this, all I would suggest is that it may be time to go back to the drawing board and see that the person that's tabulating this vote apparently is putting their own spin into it. A little something into it.
Someone's having the final say.
Yeah, somebody's having the final say, and it goes above Paul, Stevie, and Gab. Maybe time to have a meeting, I'm just saying.
We will have a little intervention indeed. Well, for more of these riveting Premier League discussions, make sure to tune into ESPN FC weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN News. Manchester United, if we have a look at the Premier League top half of the standings, you'll see that they are there in second place 4 points ahead of Spurs, who had another big win as well today against Bournemouth. Liverpool there in fourth, Stevie, and things looking difficult. Stevie, we have to start with you. So we know you're not happy with a couple of those calls from the referee. So is that the reason why Liverpool lost then?
No, Liverpool lost because, quite frankly, they didn't play well. When you consider the amount of possession they had, you consider with that possession what they created, which was pretty much nothing. Unfortunately for Liverpool, Bailly put the ball in his own net. So, you know, as far as Liverpool are concerned, other than applying a lot of pressure, particularly in the second half, they didn't really deserve to get in from this game.
Ali, what was your take?
Manchester United were excellent in the first half. And I mean some kind of excellent. Watching Manchester United in that first half, you think, wait a minute. This team is capable of doing this. Being aggressive, pressuring higher up the field, being on the front foot, proactive with creative play in the final third. Players running off of each other. Marcus Rashford running at people and running behind. Hold-up play by Lukaku. Juan Mata working the right-hand side and putting himself in dangerous situations. They were excellent. And this only became a game because Manchester United decided to get conservative. And at that point, it allowed Liverpool to grow into a match in which they had no place being a part of, because to be quite honest, they were second to everything throughout the course of the first half. But once Manchester United dropped back, they allowed Liverpool to create some momentum going forward. The own goal by Bailly allowed then Liverpool to say, you know what, we're back in this. We don't deserve to be back in this, but we're back in it, and we may just have a chance. Manchester United hung on in the end, I think, in a way, uncomfortably, because of their own doing. They were in total control of this match until they decided to get conservative.
You know, Mourinho after the game said that, and he was trying to be clever here for me. He tried to say that, you know, you don't have to have the ball to be in control of the game. Now, if he had said that about the first half, I would absolutely agree with him 100%. But the second half, I mean, they sat in the top of the box. And really, but for a couple of decisions that the referee could have, well, 2 penalties for a start, then they might have ended up Liverpool getting a point out of this if you had the Bailly own goal. So, you know, he has to look at this and say to himself, OK, if we're going to play against big teams and good teams and proper teams in the Champions League, if we can do what we did in the first half for 2 halves, they can play against anybody. Because they had a great starting line, they were breaking up the play, and then they were looking dangerous on the break. They can do that against any team in the Champions League, but they've got to do it for 2 halves. Because you're not going to get away with it against a Real Madrid or a Barcelona sitting on the edge of your box and defending like Trojans.
So but it's the Jose way, and we know he's stubborn. It's hard to think that he's going to change, especially when he's getting these results anyway.
It's not going to change, but what we're saying is that that version of Manchester United in the first half, and I'll say exactly what Stevie said, can compete against anybody. That version of Manchester United can. The one in the second half, no chance. The one in the first half that knows their strengths, okay, we're going to defend. We're going to defend well. We're going to put Liverpool in areas that they don't want to be. From there, we're going to create turnovers. And from there, we're going to attack. And when we attack, we're going to commit those numbers forward. We're going to take chances. It's one thing to tactically be defensive. It's another thing to be conservative. And when you're conservative, you limit yourself. You limit your opportunities going forward. You lose momentum, and then you lose the ability to have possession on the other side of the field. And because you do that, you allow other teams to grow into the game, and Liverpool again made it competitive. For me, Manchester United, first half, excellent. Second half, unnecessarily dramatic.
Do you know, if I'm Lukaku...
Oh, here we go. Lukaku! Here we go.
Yes,
tell us how you really feel, Stevie.
Lukaku, because he's such a great guy, because he's such a team player, he's running all over the place for 90 minutes. And the one criticism we always throw at him is he never scores in the big game. He got the monkey off his back last week against Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. But if you're Lukaku, how are you going to score a goal in a big game when your team's 60 yards from you constantly, particularly in the second half? The guy never had a chance in the penalty box. Now, he did contribute for the 2 goals, but that's just because he's a big guy and he was playing against a defender in Lovren who doesn't have a football brain.
Well, that's another question. If you're Lovren, why in the world do you go wrestle with Lukaku? Well, you're not going to win that. So, and that's exactly what Lukaku wants from you. If he can feel you, he can turn you. The moment he feels that contact, he's going to turn you because he's going to use that physicality, and you have no chance if you're Lovren. You have to be able to time it correctly. Allow Lukaku to take that first touch, and when he's about to take that second touch, or that even at that first touch, then you come in. But when you start feeling him, then Lukaku has you where he wants you.
When I'm talking about a football brain, the very first time the ball's kicked 60 yards in the air and Lukaku completely outjumps you, you get absolutely nowhere near it. That's where your brain clicks in. You know what you do? Let him go and win it. Take a step off. And then when he flicks it on, guess what? You bring it down in your chest. That's called a football brain. You don't just keep time after time after time saying, right, I'm going to fight. Eventually I'm going to win. That's not using your brain.
See, nobody has ever questioned that Mesut Ozil is a tremendous
No, but he's
talent.
come under lots of criticism, especially this season. And as you said, he's a tremendous talent. So why all the criticism that he's been going through?
Because you don't see that talent on display in important matches. You don't see that talent on display consistently for Arsenal. You see it, and when you see it, you're like, wait a minute, this guy's got something special. And we all know he's got something special. But we'd like to see more of it, that's all.
Stevie?
But, I mean, what Ali's kind of suggesting, some people might think that he's not putting it in. He's not doing it enough. But it's a team game. You need 11 players, and he's a guy that if you put him with 10 other players, you'll see all the qualities that he has. And the fact that Arsenal have been struggling, and he gets to those numbers, that tells you that he's doing what he's paid to do.
Fair enough.
You can't blame him.
No, but to some degree, you have to ask the question of Mesut Ozil is like, you're questioning Arsenal and the players around him. Well, he just signed a new deal with Arsenal. So then what are his aspirations? What is it that he
must be happy there.
Yeah, and so then you can't
300 grand a week, I'd be happy as well.
You'd be happy as well. But
Let's hope it's more than that.
But my point is more of about, okay, if you thought you could do better than what you're doing now, if you could win more things than what you are now, then maybe you go in a different direction. But clearly he's comfortable in a good place and feeling good about himself. And some of his performances display that. All
right, well, let's talk about Arsenal on a whole now, because they've got two pretty good results recently. So turning that corner.
Oh, fantastic. Well done, Arsenal.
Stevie, they had a big result in the Europa
Showing
League
great
against Milan.
character, coming back.
Okay, Brendan Rodgers.
Sorry, it's a bit late, isn't it? Sorry.
It's not too late in the Europa League. And Arsene Wenger promised that he would turn things around, and I'm assuming that's what he's going to do in the Europa League.
You still can't trust them. You don't know what you're going to get when they step on the field now. How surprised were we after that Milan game? I'm like,
yes.
Was that really is that the same team that we've been watching for the last 5 weeks when they were getting beat every game? You don't know what you're going to get.
So it feels like we were asking this same question when they made all the changes in the January transfer window, and then they played Everton and destroyed Everton. It's like, is this the new Arsenal? And we were having this same conversation. And I'll say now, like I said then, is relax. Relax. Look, they're playing well. Yes. They had a good performance against Milan. Yes. All of those things are correct. But that doesn't mean that this team where it needs to be. And part of that, most of that, has to do with Arsene Wenger. Until that changes, this roller coaster will continue.
3 Messi boys in this world. I'm sure they already have contracts for Barcelona. Pretty awesome that. Pretty awesome that. Touching moment. Anyways, the only thing better than that, I suppose, for Barcelona, Dembele finally having a good game.
You think?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a little hesitation there.
I mean, that's meaningful, but then again, you have to put this into some sort of context. It was Malaga, but it is good signs for Dembele. It is good signs for Barcelona. However, if Barcelona is going to achieve the things that they have set for themselves this season, it's not necessarily going to be because Dembele. Because, oh, by the way, Lionel Messi is going to come back, right? And he's going to play, and
so
he's going to...
what's he to do?
Well, what's he to do is that when he gets his opportunities, that he plays well. In this particular game, yeah, it was a good performance by Dembele, but we've seen more times than not that he has been very inconsistent. And so it is important for him to come on, to continue to grow as a young player, but it's difficult to do so if you're going to be on the bench. That's the challenge.
So it's the only way he's going to get more settled and do that if he just plays more then and gets more gelled with the team? Because as we said, that's not really happening with Lionel Messi.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Are you telling Valverde to bench Messi? Is that what you're doing? Because that's not going to happen.
The man could use a day or two off,
Luis
right?
Suarez says he's going to be playing, and Coutinho and Iniesta are going to be playing, and so it's basic mathematics. There are 3 spots, and there are 4 or 5 guys for those spots, and only 3 are going to play.
Survival of the fittest. Stevie?
The first thing Dembele has to do is actually feel part of Barcelona.
Yeah.
Right now, when he plays, he looks as though he's a fan that's joined training, and they've said, just come and play with us. Because he looks in complete awe of what's going on around him. That's the most important thing he has to do. Because he has ability, no question, but if you don't get yourself settled and feel part of it, you're never going to be able to produce it.
And it's not something that is easy to do.
No.
Alexis Sanchez had difficulties doing it. Neymar had difficulties doing it. And these are very talented players. We're talking about big names in the world of football, and they had their challenges because of the fact that when you play at Barcelona and you play next to Lionel Messi, and it happens in Argentina as well, you feel it's almost necessary for you to look for Messi first, then play the game. Rather than focus on the things that you can do and add to the team, you're like, okay, I got the ball, where's Messi? How about you get the ball, you make a decision as to what you want to do with it. If involving Messi is the right decision, then do so. But if you want to take somebody one-on-one, which is what Dembele was doing very well at Borussia Dortmund, then feel free to do that as well.
Let's have a look at the top half of the standings. Juve 1 point clear of Napoli with a game in hand. And the other big one of the Serie A this weekend, Inter-Napoli, that ended in a stinky 0-0 draw. So you know we're going to have to bring in Gab Marcotti now. Gab, Inter-Napoli, bit disappointing, huh?
It was disappointing, certainly I think for the neutral, and disappointing for Napoli fans that they couldn't get the victory. Inter made some changes. No Borja Valero on the pitch. We saw the Bras in midfield. I think they mostly played to go and contain Napoli, and they did it fairly effectively. It helps when you've got Mauro Icardi back up front, keeping people tied up. Inter hit the woodwork as well with Milan Skriniar. Napoli had a chance with Insigne that they couldn't convert. Napoli not quite looking at their sort of brilliant Technicolor best, but I didn't think it was a bad performance from them. But obviously, things come out in the wash. Still think that head-to-head against Juve, Inter will be absolutely pivotal.
So is the title race over now? As we said, just 1 point behind Juve, but Juve still have that game in hand. So is it all said and done now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's still a lot to go. Obviously, Juve through in the Champions League. That's going to take some attention away. Although obviously, Juve having the real Paulo Dybala back is also another boost for them. But no, I think Napoli are going to hang in there, and they plan on taking it to the wire. And they know that that head-to-head that can certainly go and reverse things pretty quickly.
Welcome into Extra Time. Alexis Yudes here with Ale Moreno, Stevie Nicol, and Gab Marcotti. Guys, ready to field some questions?
Are you okay?
I'm excited.
I love
Extra
what,
Time.
Dan doesn't do that.
Dan doesn't shimmy?
No, Dan doesn't do that.
Probably because you've been singing Lady in Red to me all day. Oh, Ale, you can put a little more movement than that. Come on.
I can. Well,
It's better
Time and
than
place.
this is not the time
Time and place for everything.
or the place, but
Hey, oh.
it's a little something.
Oh, snap.
You've done that before.
I'm just saying, don't get me going, please.
Don't get him going. Don't get Gab going.
Get a bit of
All
music.
right. We could get some. We have some music.
Get some
playing in the background.
bongos and get it going. Hey.
Just
Raw
saying,
music.
I'm just gonna sit here and
Ali's
answer the
ready.
question.
Oh, all right. Let's dance our way through
That's
some
not good.
questions. This one's coming from that chicken dude.
Hey.
Okay.
Kid you not. I wonder if he likes chicken. Why has Alexis Sanchez been so poor for United, and will he continue to start if he keeps up this poor form?
Well, to be honest, it's kind of he's still finding his way in this team. And
But you'd expect a top player like that to just fit in.
Yeah, but the fact that Mourinho goes out with such a conservative outlook to start with doesn't help a player like Sanchez, who wants the ball in the final third. He wants to go at players and he wants to create chances. That doesn't happen with United that often.
He's been stifled.
You've seen Alexis Sanchez in positions that you would have never seen him with Arsenal, or really at Barcelona, or with any other club that he might have participated, or Chile. You see this guy slide tackling somebody in his own defensive half. That's not Alexis Sanchez's game. It's not his responsibility, nor is it his game for him to go and look for the ball from center backs and defensive midfielders. He should be in an attacking position in connection with Lukaku, running off of Lukaku, coming out from the sideline, and then maybe able to work underneath or work behind Lukaku. You don't see nearly enough of that right now with Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United.
Gab, do you agree?
Yeah, I broadly agree with what Ali said. I'd throw two other factors in there. One is that Lukaku is really, despite his size, is really much more of a front to goal center forward. And when Alexis did his best work, he was either playing at center forward or playing alongside, certainly at Arsenal, a guy like Olivier Giroud, who's much more about bringing other players into the game and playing with his back to goal. And I think the other thing is, when he's been on the left, and this isn't really his fault, but it's something you're going to have to work on, but that's the area that Paul Pogba likes to break into when he's on Paul Pogba on the left-hand side of the three in midfield. And I just think that there's timing issues. I think it's affected both of them. I think they'll be fine in the long run, but they obviously need minutes together as well.
So with Mourinho knowing, of course, that this is not Sanchez's desired way of playing.
Is this your own question?
This is other Alexis. Alexis asking
Excuse
for
me,
Alexis.
you've got to send the questions
Can he
in.
realistically
You can't just
drop
keep
him
going and
after
ask
that?
questions.
Huh?
Can he realistically drop him when he knows that he's not getting the best out of him? He knows it's his
He
fault.
dropped Pogba.
Yeah, but
What's the difference?
fair point.
I don't think he drops Alexis Sanchez.
All right, let's move on to
I would be
Sagar
mad to
Salvi.
drop Alexis Sanchez.
I think so too, Gab.
Then why you ask the question? Why you
I
ask the
want to
question?
hear from you. You guys are the pros.
Oh my goodness.
Asking for a friend, Alexis. For a fellow Alexis. Okay, Sagar Salvi wants to know, so now Mourinho is the second best coach in the Premier League?
Says who?
I guess based on the standings.
Very much. It's very much an individual opinion.
Well, he's
One of
actually
which I
asking.
don't particularly share.
So who would your second best be then? Assuming Pep would be your first,
Yeah, assuming
based
Pep.
on performances.
Then obviously I would go with Klopp.
Wow, that
Tell you what,
no bias whatsoever.
And you know why? Because you know what? We might not win the league this year, but I'll tell you what, everybody loves watching them play. I love watching them play.
Unless you're a
Now,
unless you love defending.
Can you, hand on heart, say you love watching your Man United? Because you're a Man United fan. You tell me, hand on heart, do you enjoy watching the way United play?
I like watching where we are positioned in the table in comparison
See, that's
to
a
you.
different. See, that's a completely
See,
different answer.
I went with Klopp for the more exciting football when I did the tail of the tape with Shaka, and everyone just came at me like, how can you be a Man United fan? So I agree with you, but at the back, Stevie, someone like you should appreciate good defending, which Liverpool just has none right now. Ali, what about you? Who do you think is the second best?
Wait a minute. So, wait a minute. Is this what it has become for Manchester United fans? That they have to appreciate what's going on in the back line? Appreciating the work of Bailly.
It's not pretty, but we're not trying to be Arsenal and play champagne football with water results.
Yeah.
So,
Tell you what, and this
if
is,
that's going to
and
get
by the
me
way,
to finish
this is coming
second,
from a Man United fan. You spouting all this, you're not a United fan.
hasn't changed. He's broken me. I
And you're
know.
accepting
He's broken me.
You're
Ali, who's
accepting
the
it.
second best coach for you?
Don't ignore me. Try to ignore me. Don't answer.
No.
Try to ignore
Yeah,
me.
I know.
If it's getting the results,
So you're
then
basically accepting that you don't play great football to watch, so you'll take the result.
I will take the result.
Aye.
Now I will take
That's
the
fine.
result. It's been a couple tough years, and if we can finish second, only to, a Manchester City
Oh my
that's
God.
absolutely
No, it's okay to be second.
Well, how the
Wow.
mighty have fallen. We know this. You should know this too.
Tell
You
you
should
what.
celebrate second. You'd be celebrating
Tell
second
you
if you were there,
what.
Stevie.
Oh wow, this just got personal. This just got
Why would it?
personal.
Since when? When would it be
You sound
celebrated?
like Arsene Wenger
Hey,
now celebrating
I will say-
fourth spot.
I will
He
say.
would love to celebrate fourth. I
Oh,
can assure you.
how the mighty
He
have
would-
fallen.
He would love to. He would love to celebrate fourth Wenger.
I got to be honest with you. seeing
personal, huh?
well, yes, you're taking this very personal, but the fact that a Manchester United fan sits here and says, I'm okay with being second at anything, a club that has that history and has achieved as much as that club has, I don't know.
Second in the Premier League is better than finishing 7th or having to use the Europa League to qualify for the
that shouldn't be the
Champions
standard for Manchester United.
League. Well, it is now. The mighty have fallen. Once you hit rock bottom, you just celebrate little things. Wow, I sound like Arsene Wenger. Gab, what about you? Who do you think is the second best manager in the league?
Yes, sorry to disappoint you, Alexis. I'm not going to go with Mourinho because when you praise their defending this year, I don't think United have defended particularly well. I don't think Mourinho's particularly happy with the way they've defended. I think he's very aware that he's got a tremendous goalkeeper and maybe things will improve when we buy back. But look, I'm going to go show my love for the little guys. If you want to talk second best manager, it also has to do with resources. I'm going to go with Sean Dyche or Carlos Carvajal, or, because I know Ali's going to bring this up in a minute, Pochettino.
Hey. See, you know, they're hard. They're hard. It has such a strong vibe when it comes to Pochettino and Gab. I mean, it just pulls. It's gravity. It's amazing how much this guy loves Pochettino. And I know for a fact that Gab loves Conte as well. But because given the circumstances at Chelsea, he's just going to let that one go. But there's love there too. But Pochettino's is number one.
Oh,
you know.
Gab's got all these warm and tingly feelings. All right, let's move on now to Shaquille Davis. He wants to know if we have any NCAA tournament predictions.
UNCG, baby. We're in the dance. Number 13 seed, we'll play Gonzaga first round. I'm taking the Spartans, baby. That's it. That's an upset right there. Put it down.
Stevie?
Lock it in.
What's that? Tennis?
What is it? Is it basketball?
What's that? NCAA. There's only 100,000 different sports in the NCAA.
Basketball, Stevie.
Basketball.
March
Madness.
Madness.
March Madness time,
March
isn't it?
Madness.
No. Gab, what about you? School us, because Stevie
Alexis.
and I obviously did not go to university here. Who should we root for, Gab?
I just gave you one.
Well, I actually watched this game today as my alma mater Penn beat the Harvard Crimson. A little bit like a team from Philadelphia beat a team from Boston in the Super Bowl, I'm told. And we're back in the NCAA tournament, baby, after 11 years. So, yeah, if you're a Kansas Jayhawk fan, be afraid. Be very, very afraid. Of course, they're 1 seeds, we're 16. But whatever, until Thursday night, I can hope.
Is UConn in this?
I don't think so. The women are. I don't think the men did very well this year. They're struggling.
The women are on the cigars, aren't they?
Stevie, are you supporting the Jayhawks?
Who? Who's they?
Kansas Jayhawks.
A little birdie just told me.
Come on now.
Never heard of them.
Boy.
On that note, Steve and I will be starting our own NCAA basketball show, but you can tune into some more ESPN FC on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN News.
Tottenham Hotspur had an interesting game down on the south coast as they tried to get back into third place in the Premier League. They went a goal down to Bournemouth before losing Harry Kane to an ankle injury, but then they came back and scored 4 times. 2 of them from Son Heung-min, who's proving quite the foil for Tottenham Hotspur. But a good day all round, although they will be concerned about Kane.
Yeah, they'll be understandably concerned about Harry Kane. On first look, I'm no physio, I'm certainly no doctor. It looked like it was a twist and it doesn't look overly serious. He walked off the pitch, that's always a good sign. But more importantly, Spurs showed that they can do without him, at least against the likes of Bournemouth. And Son was simply outstanding, as were Spurs. I thought the response from Spurs after going a goal down was fantastic. And credit should go to Mauricio Pochettino for that, because I feared that Spurs would be suffering a little bit of heartache after going out against Juventus in the Champions League. But the way they responded, I think everybody involved with that club should take credit for, or can be pleased about.
Yeah, first 12 minutes were a little bit ropey, but obviously hitting the equaliser when they did just after Kane went off was obviously perfect timing from Dele Alli. When you look at the table now, and they're now 4 points off Manchester United, but they have a 5-point cushion for their place in the top 4. It's looking like a pretty healthy spot for them, whereas Arsenal, they get the win today, a good week for them after the win against Milan, but they're clearly prioritising that Europa League championship as opposed to the top 4 finish with them 12
Well,
points adrift.
you can understand them prioritising in the Europa League. Still a long way to go in that. A lot of good teams, no less than Atletico Madrid, who I still think, and the bookies make as favourites for that competition. But an outstanding performance against AC Milan in Milan, which I certainly didn't expect, and all the stats pointed towards maybe a comfortable Milan win. But Arsenal certainly turned the head on that tie, added to the fact that you come back home, Petr Cech, who willingly took credit for, or took the blame for the goals last season, gets his 200th clean sheet, saves his first penalty in Arsenal colours, and it has packaged the week very nicely for Arsene Wenger. Now, where that takes them between now and the end of the season, time will tell. I still think it's a long way to go in Europa League, but when you consider the reward, you understand why Arsene Wenger is kind of putting most of his eggs in that basket.
Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang paying a little bit of dividend for him in terms of that connection.
And needed. I mean, so often, after their first sign, they had that one fantastic performance against Everton, but it's been the same inconsistency. And yes, Aubameyang has had to kind of be in and out of the team because of Europa League competition. And you're just not quite sure what to make of Arsenal. So when you get a performance like this, when you get 2 performances like we've seen this week back to back, there's reason for huge optimism. It's how you follow that up. And that has been Arsenal's Achilles heel all season long. They haven't built on their successes. They haven't built on their good performances. They need to do that, need to show a whole lot of consistency. Maybe, just maybe, it might not be too late yet.
OK, so 2 wins for the North London rivals this Premier League weekend. For Arsenal, they look forward to that return leg against AC Milan as they try to get that Europa League trophy and a way back into the Champions League. That's on Thursday. Tottenham have now the quarter-finals of the FA Cup against Swansea to contend with on Saturday, possibly without their leading marksman.